You know, the world has been in upheaval in terms of, you know, this pandemic, and it's thrown a lot of people off course. It's thrown a lot of people off. Well, if we use the metaphor of sailing, suddenly people found themselves sailing upwind. Yeah, some people thought they were going downwind in life. You know, it's nice and simple. They were getting where they wanted to go. Suddenly it's upwind. And, you know, you can't go in a straight line upwind. You know, I love my metaphors, right? I'm full of stories. But you can't go in a straight line upwind. So you got to go zigzag to get to the where you want to go. But with the zigzag, some people are getting lost. They're forgetting to turn back. They're just so far off course and they're just feeling stuck. I mean, have you felt that way? Or do you know people that are like that way, that they just feel that they're so far off course to where they're supposed to be? Like a whole year's gone and not where they want to be. They're feeling stressed, anxious, they're getting in own depression, and they've gone from being future-centered people and thinking about the possibilities of the future, they're actually being caught up with a bus and thinking only if we go back to the way things were. You know, if people want to go back to the way things were, then you're connected to the past. You know, if you're looking back, how are you going to get there? You could move that way if you're looking back, but you might be moving forward, but you're always focusing on your past. So what's your future going to be like? It's going to be a repetition of the past. You want to change your life? Forget the past. It doesn't exist. It didn't happen. Now's the time for you to draw the line, and you're just going to need to move forward and do what it is that you need to do to get the results that you want. So I want you to think about, what are you envisaging for your future? What do you want it to feel like? How do you want to experience life? Do you want to experience life just in a mundane, mediocre, repetition, randomness? If you live your life by random, you know what random is? Oh, we'll just leave it up to the universe. We'll just see. I'm just going with the flow. That's random. Now, I get flow and I get the power of now, but it doesn't mean that you do nothing in terms of present tense. Anyone not agree with me? Which means you all agree with me. So some people who really did the NLP recently are starting to pick up my language patterns, right? We spend a lot of time with the language patterns, which is great. So I want you to think about, when people get stuck with this, you're more than that. You deserve more than that. Today, we're going to look at physiology, right? And I said, when we look at physiology, it's not just looking at energy and things that we can do. Look at it more holistically in terms of what affects our mind and body. This temple that we have here, what affects this temple? Yeah, everything that we think, everything that we drink, everything that we do, the environment, all the choices that we make affects that. So how can we get you to maybe perceive things a little bit differently so you can make better decisions in order for you to get better results? Because the job of you, if you're in this industry as a coach, the job of us is to ask you questions so you can discover the decisions that you need to make in order to move your life forward. The decisions that you need to make in order to move away from here and move towards there. Now, sometimes it's less than easy, or it's not that easy. But whether it's easy or not easy now, you always get there. So what are we going to be starting with today? What's the one thing, the one resource that amplifies all areas of your life? What's the one thing that if you had more of would amplify all areas of your life? It's energy. It's the energy you bring into the situation. It's the energy you bring to the conversation, energy you bring to that moment, that time when you're speaking to one person, to 2 people, to 10 people, to 20 people, to 40 people. You know, whether you've got one person audience, whether you've got a 10 people audience, whether you've got 100 people audience or 100,000 people audience, give them your attention. When they have your attention and you're focused on them, man, that's energy. So I want you to think about your energy, what's been over the last maybe 6 weeks or let's say 6 months. Is it where you want it to be, or could it improve? Because if it's going great, then we got nothing for you. Awesome. We can say, well, how's that going for you? But if you can improve it, what could you do? Because, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, we do this stuff and we go like last week from 9 to 11, and we could have gone longer if we wanted to, and then come back the next day and do these things that we do in the lives, all these stuff. People, where do you get the energy? They ask me all the time, where do you find your energy? Where did you get energy from? And we're going to end with some extra stuff with you. But, you know, for me, my biggest reframe was, well, where do you think the energy comes from? Should be a simple answer. For me, energy comes from within. So if you don't have any energy, you got conflict within. Because if you're congruent, there's a word. If you're congruent within, you'll find all the energy you need. Stephanie, who was my high performance coach, when we're doing this section, I was going through the situation, my personal situation, and she's saying, so, okay, so what are the things that you love to do? What are you when you're in flow? What is it you're doing? Hey, I love doing this stuff when I'm in front of people, whether it's live in my living room or live on a stage or live in front of a TV with squares here. Yeah, we just go on and on and on. We get fueled with this stuff. This fuels us because it's our mission, it's our work, it's our calling. And I said to her that when I'm doing that, man, that's what gives me energy. And then she goes, so what's the problem? And how's it a problem? I said, well, sometimes I give and 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 give, right? And when I go home, sometimes I just want to put the feet up and just get. I want someone to look after me. Oh, poor boy, right? And she said, well, tell me more. And she said, what happens then when you go from being the person that charges to someone that needs to be recharged? I said, well, that's the problem. Things are falling apart maybe because of that. And then said to me, well, let me ask you a question. This energy that you wear, when you're in front of an audience and doing what you do, where does that energy come from? And I said, that comes from within. It's spirit energy. It comes from the soul. And when you guys are in flow doing what you love, it just comes from a place inside. Isn't that right? I mean, time just goes. You don't know where the time is. Like before now, it's going to be 12 o'clock tonight and we're still going. I'm just checking sensory acuity here. Right? And she goes, let me ask you this question. Is that a finite source? I said, what do you mean? Well, if it's spirit energy, does it ever deplete? I said, no, it doesn't. I said, fuck. She goes, well, how come you got no energy if you're giving a source which isn't finite, like a source which doesn't deplete? You got an untapped source of spirit energy. So what's the problem? And the problem was that when my lens was focused out, serving, giving was energizing me. The moment I turned the lens on the inside, it started taking, depleted me. So that was my learning. Sure, from a physiological perspective, we'll talk about it. We have a body. We need to nourish it. We need to repair it. We need to regenerate it. And we're going to look at some things that can do that. We'll ask each other some questions. But ultimately, if you need to get something done and you need to find an energy to do it, wouldn't you find that energy? Where do people find this energy to pick up cars that have fallen on loved ones? Where do people find the energy to do things which are non-human in terms of their effort because they have a purpose? It's driven. They're focusing on one thing. There's no plan B. There's just a plan A. One outcome, one result. So I want you to think about, are you living your life that way? Because I know when I'm living my life that way, shit, man, you can do anything. And when I'm looking at the other way, that's when I get stuck. That's when, well, I don't say problems happen because everything happens the way it needs to happen, but you're not getting the results that you want to get. And, oh, poor boy, just needs some attention. I mean, we all want to be acknowledged and to be loved and to have attention, but what's the intention behind that is the question. So do you give just to give or do you give to take? So for me, that's where it starts from. It starts from within you. The way you are in the world is a deep reflection with the way that you are with yourself. So we can start talking about all the extrinsic things, what we can do for our body and nutrition and all these other brain hacks and everything else. But the way you are with the world is a reflection of how you are with yourself. So we've talked about self-love before, and we'll finish tonight with maybe 4 truths or 4 things you can focus on, a little breakout with self-love. And I'll share some things that have happened for us today with some learnings, which is exciting for us. So once you're in that zone, I want you to imagine, when you're in that zone, can you imagine a life like this? Imagine creating vitality. I mean, that's energy, right? It's vitality. Who here doesn't want vitality? Well, if we want to create vitality, if we're talking about physiology, energy, vitality within your physiology, let's give vitality a definition because it's not health, it's beyond health. So what is vitality? Let's have a look at the definition of vitality. Oh, let me come over here. So vitality, definition of vitality, the state of being strong, active, and energy. So if you're feeling strong, courageous, powerful. So if you're strong, active, powerful, energetic, man, you can do anything. The power-giving continuous of life present in all things. So what is it that gives you vitality? It's that life force that's inside you. And when that's active, you know when it's active, when things are congruent, when things fall into place. It's a domino effect. You can't have clarity in one area for it to not affect another area in your life. There is a domino effect. You just need to allow that clarity to come in. Or it'll be the reverse effect, right? The confusion in one area will cause confusion in the areas that you thought you were clarity in. And so, well, how'd that work for you? You're back to where you were. And why? Because you're focusing on the past. And as much as I love you all, I'm not going to love your problem. Then as a coach, we say, it gets to a point where, you know, hey, if people don't get it, people don't get it. It's all about energy and frequency. People want to be around people who match or lift their energy. Do you want to be around people who deplete your energy? No. And the only reason we think about things in the past, events, situations, or the way things were pre-COVID or in relationships is because, well, we're remembering how we were in the past, but we're not the same person. We want what we had in the past. We're the same person that we are today. It doesn't happen. You're a different person today, which means there's a different future for you today. And that's a decision that you need to make. So if you want vitality, if you want to live life like this, then there's certain decisions that you need to make. Nice color. So we're going to focus on vitality. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about your 3 Bs. So this section here is really the high performance coaching from Brendan and the habits. So we're going to look at how we can help. The 3 Bs are your brain, your body, and your breath. How can you use certain, meditation, sleeping, closing your eyes, just the simple act of closing your eyes every hour, just for 30 seconds. Stop that data coming in, because here's something interesting, right? I only recently found this out. Oh, geez, I've been doing this for so long. I only recently found this out. Esther, I don't know whether you know this. You may know this. Out of the 11 million bits of information that comes in, NLP, 11 million bits of information comes in, and we delete, distort, and generalize and down to 126 bits. 10 million is visual. You close your eyes, you're eliminating 10 million bits of information. Wow. Which means if we close our eyes, we'll hear better. Think about that. So brain, body, and breath. And we'll talk about some deep breathing exercise or some scaling breath. Some of you have done some other breath work you could share. And maybe and we'll give you some things that you can take home and do yourself. We'll talk about nutrition. And when we talk about nutrition, we're going to share with you just some ideas and concepts. Now, sure, we've got the ideas that we're getting from Brendan and from the high performance coaching, but we've also been trained. We have our graduate diploma in clinical nutrition, and we've got our bachelor of science, and we have worked as a nutritionist, and we have a TJ number, so we can share with you from our training things that may work and may not work, and that's just from our experience. Doesn't mean it works for you. And when we talk about nutrition, these are just ideas. Anytime that we talk about any nutritional wellness plan, we always get you to check with your physician or the person who's working with you, because we don't know what your situation is. This is a generalization, but some things are just common sense, right? Not necessarily common practice. So we might share some things with you, and you might say, what, just give it a go. Give it a go and see what happens. And then, of course, with your fitness, what are some routines you can get in with your fitness in order for you to be active and have a movement in terms of moving your body to 2x2? 2 days to do a certain type of regime, and 2 days another regime, and then you got 3 days left, 3 days for walking. But hey, if you do 7 days of walking like I do, then that could be the difference. And so we'll give you some ideas there and how you can bring some variety and make it social. So all these things, what they found as consistent ideas and habits and activities that the high performers did. So that's what we're going to share with you. Now, in addition to this, of course, with the work that we do at MBX Institute, we know that, this is all extrinsic stuff, right? Brain, body, breath. Okay, sure, we're on internal, but it's stuff that our body physically is doing. What really is the force inside us that heals? I got a great quote here from another Greek guy. Natural forces within us are the true healers of disease. So what's the natural force inside you is the question. What is it that we call that? And why is it important? Why is it we share it here as part of what we do at the MBX Institute? So what I'm going to share with you quickly, and some of you have seen this before, and we'll go through it from a different perspective, is what we call the triangle of health. We use this in our energy psychology and kinesiology, but it's a model to look at us as a 3D person on this planet. We're going to say 3D, three-dimensional. So if we look at three-dimensional, look at our 3 dimensions here. We've got our structure, our body, like our muscles, our bones, right? We've got our mental side and emotional side, so our thoughts and our emotions. And we also have our biochemistry. And our biochemistry could be the nutrition and the food that we eat, and also our interaction with the environment, right? Now, all those sides impact each other in order for us to be healthy on this planet. This comes from chiropractic. It's a philosophy from chiropractic. It's a philosophy in kinesiology. I think it's a great philosophy when you think about health and healing. And so that's our 3-dimensional being. And so for us, in order for us to be in complete harmony, those 3 sides have to be even, like equilateral triangle, right? Isosceles, it's only 2 sides are even, but equilateral 3 sides. But this is not an arithmetic class, right? So equilateral triangle, the reality is that no one's got a completely balanced triangle. Does anyone know who's got a completely balanced triangle? Because here's what happens in our life, and it's all of us. We all have triangles like this. See, when you're under mental or emotional stress, what happens in your body when you're under stress, guys? What's released in your body when you're stressed? Anyone knows? Cortisol saying, what else? What are all the stress hormones? Adrenaline. Yes. So we have, adrenaline, which is a short term, the alert phase response, and then the vigilant phase where the body tends to adapt to the stressor is cortisol. And so what happens, we start to have a biochemical imbalance. So we've got high levels of stress hormones in the body. What do these stress hormones start to do in the body? If you don't get them out of it, and when you get, what do you do to get them out of it? You got a lot of adrenaline, mate. You might have to go punch a bag or something. So if you've got all this pent out energy and cortisol and adrenaline and all these stress hormones, and you're not letting go, it's going to affect your physiology. And what does it do? It starts to affect your structure, your muscles and your bones. So you start to get tight muscles. So you get pain in the back, low back, mid back, not just a pain in the neck. So you're getting physiological issues because the stress hormones are affecting the physiology, and not just your structure, but your organs are muscle, right? So intestine, smooth muscle, hearts, muscle. So you start to get organic problems, organ problems, systemic problems. So you start to have physiological problems, so body problems as well as organic problems. So you start to have more pain, more physical problems. More physical problems, guess what? More stress, more toxins, more physical problems. But you know what? The modern medicine, the modern community, the medical community will say, well, that's healthy because you haven't got a disease yet. Because the longer you stay like that, you'll get a disease. See, the definition of healthy is the absence of disease. Wow. You could have a triangle like that. You got no disease yet. But if you leave your triangle like that for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, what do you think will manifest in your body? 6 years, what manifests in your body? Well, let me ask you, is this a state of harmony? Correct. Just nod your head because I can't hear you from where you're at. Is this a state of harmony? Yes. What's this? A state of disharmony, right? Is this a state of balance? Yes. What's this? Disbalance. Go with me here. Is this a state of ease? Yes. What's this? It's a state of dis-ease. A disease is not a thing. And all you NLP people should be jumping up and down, getting excited now because you just realize a disease is a state. And NLP is all about state control. It's not an entity. It doesn't have beady eyes and fangs. You catch them in other places. But anyway, so this is a dis-ease. It's a state. And you experience that state because of this. So in the field of kinesiology and energy psychology, we say, well, for us to experience this optimum well-being, this is where we have high life energy. This is vitality, right? Our life force inside, because it's a healing forces in sin, which within us that are nature's healers, right? So our life force is high. What's our life force like here? Low. So our life energy is blocked there, isn't that right? So how do we measure your life force? Well, energy psychology, it's your energy, it's your chi. The Chinese call it chi, the Hindus call it prana, the Hawaiians call it mana, right? In the West, we call energy. All one and the same thing, right? And so in TCM, the Chinese say that we have a chi. So if your chi is free-flowing, unimpeded, you'll have a balanced triangle. The body can heal itself. We don't put hands on the body and say, hello, your brother, sister, you're healed. Now, we do hands-on healing, but we're just privileged to be the conduits or pass on energy so the person can heal themselves. Isn't that right? I mean, that's my understanding of all that work. If you think you heal people, I mean, the concept of a healer already, I think, is backward. We should be self-healers, not healers. We don't heal people. We help people to heal themselves, right? So they say we have a chi. This chi is your meridians. We've got 14 major meridians in the body. And when they're unimpeded, it's balanced. So when you got a block in your chi. Your chi is blocked. So what if you're able to go to a physician who's able to work out where your chi may be blocked? And these chi pathways are named after parts of your body, like the spleen or the large intestine or the heart or the lung or the gallbladder. And then it might give us an idea of what's going on in your body, because these emotions, according to Chinese, also have these parts of the body, according to Chinese, also have emotional attachments or emotional frequencies. So if you've got gallbladder and liver issues, it might be anger, it might be rage, it may be some sort of transformation. You know, if you've got bladder and kidney issues, and you might have fear and anxiety, which is what you need dealing with. So whatever's happening in your life at that moment, right? Whatever you're experiencing in an emotional state will throw that energy out and cause disruption in this triangle. So what do we do? Hey, Gio, good to see you. Yeah. So what do we do with the work that we do, whether we work with energetic healing, whether we work with energy psychology, whether we work with kinesiology, whether we work with hypnosis, whether we work with NLP, whether we work as a naturopath, whether we work as a massage therapist, as we work as a any type of path, right? What's our goal? Basically, and from day one, when I did this stuff from 95, 96, people say, well, what do you do? I say, we help balance triangles. That's what we do. We help balance your triangle. And we just use different modalities to do that. This would be the body work modalities. The mental, emotional might be the NLP, the emotional and timeline therapy stuff, nutritional stuff, energetic stuff in here, the kinesiology stuff. You're completely holistic. So why wouldn't you want to learn your craft in the most holistic way, in the integrated way, as opposed to just focusing on one side of the triangle? Now, you can master one side. If you're just working with the body, but you have an appreciation of the other side, you'll get better results with the body because you have an understanding of the other sides. And if you just want to work energetically, I see so many wonderful energetic healers out there, but they just put the blinkers on and say, disregard the body. I'd rather go to an energetic healer who does wonderful stuff, but also understands about the body. Wouldn't you? That's integrative. I'm not saying you have to be a body therapist, but if you're going to be holistic, be holistic. Not just what we do is better than everyone else. That's my thought. And so I wanted to share the triangle health with you because if we're talking about vitality, we want to think about what are the things that can help bring our triangle back to that. Because when we do that, we're activating our own internal life force. You know, we change the environment, we change the conditions. And this is what NLP is about in stress conditioning, right? How do you train a Navy SEAL? You got to put him in the situation of stress so you can train the neurology to deal with. You train them up to the challenge, not down to the past experience. In life, we act based on our past experiences. We don't act up to the challenge because we have been trained to the challenge. So welcome yourself, putting yourself in stressful situations. Welcome making an uncomfortable decision. Welcome doing all that. Welcome being in a charged state because you're training yourself to deal with the next level. But people avoid it. When you avoid it, you just stay over here. Would you agree? So we're wanting to help change the environment for someone so they can look at this in the most holistic way. So some of the things we'll share with you today will come from that holistic way, as we've said. So, all right. So we just talked about the triangle health, which is what we wanted to share. So we're working with physiology, this one, because we did psychology last time. So the world's highest performers have learned to master the physiology, and physiology vitality is one of the most important topics for high performance. But here's a question I want to ask you. In the last 4 weeks, where would you rate your physiology vitality on a scale of 1 to 10? This is your subjective measure. There's no right or wrong. And someone's 2 could be someone's 10, and someone's 10 could be someone's 2. But this is your measure, your benchmark, so you can measure what you need to do to move the needle for yourself. As you think of that score, why are you at that number? Think about it. And you know what? Many times people say it's not what they've done or what they're doing, because a lot of people say, hey, we're doing everything. I do it all, I hear from some people. The question is, what are you not doing? Because if you're a 10, what would you be doing then? And then ask yourself, are you doing that now? Because that's the identity breakthrough. If you want to live a life of 10, if you want to have the results of a 10, if you want to be able to experience all the riches, the exhilaration, all everything that comes in your life at that number, you need to be that number today. You need to work with the breakthroughs to become that person today. Be the person that you'll become when you get to where you want to go. And if you become that person today, the get to where you want to go is a given. And you realize it's not about where you want to go. It's about the journey of becoming the person along the way. And you keep on expanding yourself and growing yourself, and you realize you become a better person, even better person, even better person. And along the way, there's some collateral damage. What's that? You leave jobs, you leave relationships, you leave friends, because your growth is more important to you and your happiness. Well, I want you to think about it. No one's worth more than your happiness, guys. No one's worth more than your growth. Is there anyone out there that's worth more than your happiness? Now, you might think that's selfish. It's actually selfless. It's thinking of yourself less to be able to fill other people's cups. So what would you need to do that you know that you should be doing to move that number a few notches?